Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really high-stakes topic, one that hits close to home for anyone thinking about wealth, legacy, and, family. Here in South Africa, we're talking about setting up a trust.
Right. And we have this comprehensive stack of sources here, everything from deep legal analysis of trusts that just completely failed in court to really detailed notes from professional trust consultants.
And the theme that keeps coming up is this idea that trying to do it yourself to save a few rand is, well, it's often the most expensive mistake you can possibly make.
It absolutely is. I mean, what we're seeing is that the initial cost of getting professional advice is just, it's negligible compared to the financial and, frankly, the relational damage that a poorly set up DIY trust can cause.
Exactly. So our goal today is to cut through the anxiety, the legal jargon, and really show you how professional help isn't a cost. It's an investment with an absolutely incredible return.
We're going to quantify the risks. We want you to see why trying to save a small fee now can cost your family millions down the line.
To really get a handle on this, I think we have to start with the disasters. Our sources lay out these three frankly, terrifying case studies that show exactly where the DIY approach goes so wrong.
Yeah, let's start with case study 1. We'll call him Mike. He's a very successful entrepreneur, very self-reliant, and he decided to draft his own trust to, save on estate duty and provide for his kids.
A common goal. So what was the final price tag on that decision?
The final financial hit to his estate was a staggering 8 million rand in lost value.
Wow, 8 million. How? What were the invisible problems in that trust deed he wrote?
Well, there were 3 critical flaws. The first one was just basic legal invalidity. He defined his beneficiaries as, and I'm quoting here, my family.
My family. That sounds reasonable.
It sounds reasonable, but in the eyes of South African law, it's often way too vague to be enforceable. But the second flaw, this was the real killer: control. Mike made himself the founder, the sole beneficiary, and the sole trustee.
So he was wearing all 3 hats. What does that do?
It completely destroys the trust. It fails a critical legal test called substance over form. Essentially, SARS and the courts look at that and they just say, this isn't a separate entity.
It's just Mike.
It's just Mike managing his own assets under a different name. So because he kept total control, the entire structure was disregarded. He paid every cent of the estate duty he was trying to avoid.
So it offered 0 legal protection and 0 tax savings. A total failure.
And it gets worse.
Yeah.
Because the trust deed had no clear rules for what happens if a trustee gets sick or how to distribute the money. His death just sparked chaos.
Litigation.
Yep, 400,000 rand in litigation costs over 3 years between his own children. And the sources are very clear. It completely destroyed their relationships. That was the real legacy.
That human cost is just, it's immense. Okay, let's pivot. Case study 2. Sarah. She downloaded one of those online templates, thought she was being smart.
And this is where the mistakes get immediate. She transferred her 5 million rand asset portfolio into this DIY trust. And in that single action, she triggered 750,000 rand in immediate tax.
Just for moving her own assets on paper.
Just for moving them. It was a mix of donations tax and capital gains tax. A professional could have completely avoided that.
How? What's the trick?
It's not a trick, it's just strategy. You can use, a sell and contribute strategy or just optimize the timing. It's standard practice. But her mistakes kept compounding. She had a major tax misconception.
Let me guess. She thought the trust pays no tax on income it keeps.
You got it. A classic and very expensive misunderstanding. In South Africa, trusts pay income tax at a flat rate of 45% on any retained income.
45%. That's the highest marginal rate.
It is. And because she wasn't filing the returns, a SARS audit eventually found 1.8 million rand in back taxes, plus another 720,000 in penalties and interest. So her cheap online template ended up costing her over 3.25 million rand. Avoidable, all of it.
Unbelievable. Okay, one more. David. He was aiming for asset protection, had 12 million in business assets he wanted to shield. He lost it all. Why did his trust fail?
2 reasons again. Timing and structure. He transferred the assets only 3 years before his business went under.
Not long enough.
Not nearly. For asset protection to be really solid, the transfer needs to happen outside of a 6-year look-back period. Otherwise, a court can just claw those assets back for creditors.
This is exactly what happened.
Exactly. He failed the 6-year test. And just like Mike, he kept unilateral decision power. He could do whatever he wanted. So the court said there was no real separation, and boom, the 12 million was gone.
The numbers are just staggering. A professional setup might cost, what, 35,000 rand? Maybe a bit more.
Yeah, in that ballpark.
And it could have prevented losses of between 3 and 12 million. The sources say the ROI on professional help is between 300 and 3,000%. That's a huge range. What's the difference there?
That's a great question. It really depends on the scale of the disaster you're avoiding. A 300% return, that might be just avoiding Sarah's initial R750,000 Texan bill. But a 3,000% return, that's when you prevent a total collapse, like David losing his 12 million. It's about mitigating every single one of those catastrophic risks. So now that we've seen the dark side, let's talk about the positive. Because if it's done right, a trust is probably the most powerful tool you have for security, efficiency, and legacy planning in South Africa.
Absolutely. So let's lay out those core benefits. What are the top positive outcomes you get from a properly structured trust?
Number one, without a doubt, is asset protection. A well-drafted trust legally separates your assets from you personally. It builds a wall. This shields your wealth from, say, future business creditors or legal claims.
And from divorce proceedings too, right?
Yes, critically, it can safeguard assets during divorce, but only if that separation of control is properly maintained.
Okay, benefit number 2 you mentioned is tax efficiency. But hang on, we just talked about that brutal 45% tax rate. How can that be efficient?
It sounds like a contradiction, but that's the trap. The key is something called the conduit principle. While the trust is taxed at 35% on income it keeps, if it distributes that income to the beneficiaries.
And the beneficiaries pay the tax at their own, probably much lower personal income tax rate.
Precisely. The efficiency is all in the distribution strategy, not in hoarding cash inside the trust. And on top of that, you minimize estate duty. And while trusts pay capital gains tax at an effective rate of 36%, the assets never have to be sold or transferred on death. This avoids huge probate costs and your funds being frozen for months or even years.
And what about looking to the future, the generational aspect?
That's benefits 3 and 4. Wealth preservation is about making sure there's real financial security for your kids and grandkids. You, the founder, get to set the rules for when and how they benefit. And finally, there's business succession planning. The trust can own the shares of your business, so if something happens to you, the business just keeps running smoothly.
It's probably a good moment to just quickly clarify the key players. You have the founder who sets it up, the trustees who manage it, and the beneficiaries who, well, benefit.
Correct. And we have to reemphasize that legal requirement in South Africa for family trusts to have at least one independent trustee. That's not optional.
That's the rule that prevents the whole thing from being a Mike-style 8 million rand mistake.
It is the absolute cornerstone of a robust structure. A professional makes sure that rule and all the others are respected and legally watertight for decades.
Okay, so the complexity of all this, the conduit principle, the 6-year look back, substance over form, it makes it pretty clear why doing your own trust taxes is just. It's never a good idea.
Never. The compliance requirements are formidable. And this is why our sources really stress the need for a team. You need an attorney for the legal drafting, a tax advisor for SARS compliance, and a trust consultant for that holistic day-to-day management.
Now, I could hear someone listening and thinking, a whole team, 3 professionals. Isn't that overkill? Can't my attorney just handle it all?
It's a fair question, but it highlights a common gap. The attorney drafts the deed. That's the blueprint, the foundation. The tax advisor makes sure SARS is happy each year. The trust consultant, someone like Lumka Sturman, is the one who bridges that gap between the legal document and the real-life, ongoing management year after year.
So the consultant is the one who makes sure you don't make those mistakes that Sarah and David made after their trusts were set up. They're the ongoing guide.
Exactly. A trust consultant's mission is really to educate and empower you. They simplify things. They make sure you understand the why behind the decisions, and they tailor the advice, whether you're a business owner, a parent planning for young kids, or someone with a high net worth portfolio. They translate the legal jargon.
It sounds like they're the person who keeps your structure compliant and effective, not just today, but 10 years from now when the laws have changed again.
That holistic management is where the real value is, and this team also delivers these, indirect, priceless benefits, things you can't really put a number on.
Like what?
Family harmony, for one. By setting clear, enforceable rules from the start, you prevent the kind of fighting that destroyed Mike's family. And then there's just peace of mind. The confidence you get from knowing your structure is solid, you're reducing your audit risk, and you're backed by professional indemnity insurance.
So when you add it all up, avoiding the huge errors, the tax savings, the peace of mind, the sources, estimate the total value a professional team delivers, is somewhere between what, our 900,000 and our 11.5 million or even more.
That's right. And it's that immense return that makes professional guidance really non-negotiable.
So after all this, what does it mean for you, the listener? I think it's clear. The DIY route is a false economy. The time you spend, the errors you'll likely make, the opportunities you'll miss, it all adds up to be far riskier and much more expensive than just hiring a professional from day one.
The real decision isn't if you need help, but how to find the right guide. Someone who focuses on education, on integrating all these complex pieces, and who really simplifies the process for you.
So for anyone listening who wants that clear, actionable advice tailored specifically for South African trusts, the next logical step is to engage with a professional who provides that kind of holistic guidance.
Exactly. We've established that the initial investment is minuscule compared to the potential 8 or 12 million rand loss. A dedicated trust consultant like Limke Sturman is focused specifically on helping clients achieve that financial security and, just as importantly, that peace of mind.
And if you're ready to secure your wealth, to protect your legacy, Limke offers tailored solutions. This includes a 90-minute strategy call, which is really designed for discovery, for education, and for giving you personalized recommendations.
You can find all the information you need and take that next step on her website. It's the best way to really take control of your financial future.
That website is www.lumcasterman.com. That's LUMKASTURMAN.com. Don't hesitate to take that step.
And here's a final thought for you to mull over. Ultimately, the highest return on investment from professional trust planning isn't a tax saving. It's not avoiding a court fee. It's the preservation of your family's relationships. And when you think about it, that's a value that is truly immeasurable.